Good day, everyone. It's Charlotte here from One Woman. I shouldn't always say good morning because who knows where somebody's watching somewhere in the world. Charlotte Brown here, founder of One Woman, and I'm here with the beautiful Lira Kay. And how's things in sunny California today, Lira?
It's gorgeous as usual. We do have a very sunny fall, actually, and unusually really warm here. So I'm definitely enjoying this.
Awesome. Yes, I love California. And we met through Fearless Women's Summit. You spoke at a number of our stages, and you're just brilliant at what you do. And so let's tell everyone, if they haven't had the pleasure of meeting you or hearing you speak, a little bit about yourself and your background.
Thank you. Thank you for introducing me. So I'm Lira Kay. I'm a founder of School of Inspired Life. And what we do, we train coaches to be incredibly good at their work so they can start charging at least 1,000 per hour. This is an abstract number. I don't care. I don't encourage anybody to work by hour, but it's just for you to understand that what we're teaching is how to really elevate your work to the point that you can charge 10 times as much. Because I also have 5 kids, and something I learned in my life is that please don't be a workaholic like I was at some point. And when you're charging very little for your brilliant work, you end up working with a lot of people and just a lot of hustle and trying to get clients. And I want you to have a beautiful 6-figure business working 2 hours per day. This is what I do. I have, like I mentioned, I don't know if I mentioned, I have 5 kids. So I really want to spend time with my kids, with myself. I'm an introvert. I don't want, like busy schedule. I used to have it all, and now I'm just looking for much more balanced and harmonious business. So that's what we teach in School of Inspired Life.
Yes, and what I love what you do is you're bringing women together to truly heal this world. And it's so aligned with our One Woman mission in terms of bringing women together for the greater good of all in this world. And I think that's why you and I really clicked in terms of our missions are very much aligned in so many ways. And so talk about that as to why it was so important to you to bring healers together and to work together to be able to create the change that we want to see, because we do very much live in a very broken world.
Yeah. So I've been doing my work for 30 years. I started as a healer, as a spiritual teacher when I was 17 years old. And later on graduated as a psychotherapist and did very, I would say work that is kind of, I would say painful. This is what I've seen, that there's a lot of pain in the world. And when you know that and when you see that, I think it's hard not to do the work. Like for me, that's not an option. I always been on my path, but I've been through my own psychotherapy training. I've been kind of like, I love it. I love psychology, I have to say. But the system within which now the people are getting help with releasing the emotional pain, I don't think it's perfect. It's not perfect, and I don't think it's even functional sometimes. So I find that coaches coming in and being that hope for people, but not just hope, but also providing the service is something that is so important. Also, something I've noticed, I'm 47 years old. So when I was doing my work, like I said, for a long time, but when I turned 40, I remember that moment when I thought, wait a sec, there's something more happening within my heart. I'm not just doing the work for the sake of it, for myself, but it's also, I really feel like I have a lot to give at this point. It's wisdom that I accumulated not through my experience and skills, but also in my heart. It's the wisdom that I lived, whatever I learned, life lessons I learned. And what I'm seeing is that a lot of my clients are on that edge of turning 40, a lot of them. And I think on a spiritual level, women are stepping into their wisdom. That's the time. And I think this is what for me, when I'm trying to explain why so many women want to share their gifts, but especially in the later life, like it stops being about ambition. It stops being about me, look at me, I'm so good, or I want all the rewards, but it's more like I have wisdom to share and it's mine, it's authentic, it's what I lived. and women coming together. I think this is the great premise, because coaching is just one of those things when you are very directly sharing what you have. It's not about degrees, it's not about PhDs, it's not about how many certifications you had, but it's what do you have there, and do you have now courage? And that's what I invite people to do, is to have to step up, to have that courage and understand that you're very, very valuable. What you have to give is super important to the world, because you are actually coming to that age where that's what women are supposed to be doing in our society, right? They are now giving to others.
Right, absolutely. And you've came up with a really special project to launch all this called the 111 Healers Project. So what's kind of your goal behind that?
Well, this project came now years back. I woke up one day, it was a political thing. I remember feeling really shaken by what would be happening to people who could not afford healthcare, especially mental health care. And my kind of first, kind of like I would say download or whatever that was, like an idea that came to me is that, oh my gosh, I think we, the healers, have to step up and have to unite together and educate masses, people out there, that there are alternative methods. I think why I am so disappointed with the system, that it's really, system is there, it's too late for people. By the time they being treated with pills and everything else, it's already too late. Where's the preventative? Where's the education? Where's the awareness for people to understand, like, what does it look like to be an emotional being, which is we all are. And I think for coaches, this is it. For healers, we should be together and we should be supporting each other in bringing those new alternative methods of healings to the people. Because I think when it comes to healing, at the end of the day, I know that I had done it for myself. Everybody I worked with had done it. We're taking our personal responsibility for our well-being. We're not relying on pills. We're not relying on systems, especially if the systems are flawed. And whenever you're taking personal responsibility, you will be looking for something out there, and you will be searching, and you don't know where to start, and who is a good healer, who is not that good, what is it, what's energy healing, what's spiritual healing, what's psychotherapy like. And my aim is to get healers together. I'm right now limiting it to 100 people, because I want them to come and start sharing their modalities, their methods. And what I believe, this is the kind of what I saw, the simple maths, that when one person heals themselves, and the person is the healer, they will affect their own family. They will affect their own 10 people just around them. So that will be 11 people. And then if you're doing it professionally, if you're making it a mission in your life, then you will at least affect another 100 people. So this is why the number 111 comes to mind, because I think this is what we all do. And if we are not professional, then of course it's not going to be 100, it's going to be, 11 people, but it's good. I think it all begins with us and our nearest and dearest. But I think if you have that calling and talent, I think, I'm just going to say, that's in my heart, I do feel that you should be helping the world. It's not just for you to hoard it. It's just really start doing it, and start doing it professionally, because whatever you focus on, start expanding. And, whenever you are calling yourself professional, whenever you are set to make it work, this is when it starts actually moving somewhere. And if you're just accidentally healing, that's good, but you came into the world and you know it. If I'm talking with you, you already know it. Oh my gosh, that's me. I have it in my heart. I know I should be working with a lot of people, not just helping myself.
Right. And you work with a lot of women who have professional backgrounds, that they had a traditional education in psychology as a psychotherapist or in something, but something doesn't quite feel right. That yes, your education is important. It's that knowledge, it's that foundation, everything that you have, but you have this extra healing ability to be able to help others. And that was very much your own case. And what you've kind of attracted into your own life is bringing these healers together that really have these extra gifts to be able to share. So I guess what comes along with that, and the women that I know that have those backgrounds, is often they're then challenged as to what do you charge? How do you become your own entity and your own coach to be able to help and heal others when you've always been hired through agencies or through people's insurance? And I think women struggle with that in terms of their value and their worth of this healing gift that they've been given. And so talk about kind of your work to help women with that struggle that they have in terms of the worth of the gifts that they have to help others.
I love the question. I can talk and talk a lot about that. But I think I want to begin with this first. Why is it for women? Why is it so difficult to charge for your spiritual gift? I call it a spiritual gift because you acquired it through living your life. And honestly, in your childhood, you knew who you are when you were very little. I myself I'm extra sensitive. I used to see energy with my eyes. My daughters do as well. So I know it's not an unusual thing. Kids can be very sensitive and can have those strange gifts. I would always have visions, and some people called me psychics, and that psychic, that's probably exactly what it would be typically described as. And of course, that's a really weird thing to sell, right? You would think, how would you package that? How would you go out and say, I'm an empath, now pay me, or I'm a healer, and with my presence you feel better? And that's what, when I was 17 years old, that was really my work. It's just that people would come and they would transform. And what was involved, nobody knew, except, I had to study and analyze to understand what's happening. So that's part of the work, of course, of when it comes to charging. But what's happening on the other side, so we have those spiritual gifts, then we're living in this man's world where people are validated according to the tangible skills. I went to college, this is my degree, I'm doing something that is based on some kind of rules, some kind of guidelines. And now you, with your spiritual gift, you don't fit in there. So women don't understand that is super valuable, that love, acceptance, non-judgmental attitude, all of those really important things that healers have are just as valuable as my psychology degree and me knowing a lot of methods out there and trying to use some step-by-step systems, right? But so for a lot of women, that's like a first thing. They are hiding behind the degrees. I've done that myself. When I started as a coach, I hugely relied on my psychology degree and trying to kind of go with that. And it took me, I would say, guts to come out and say, you know what, actually the way that I work got nothing to do with my psychology degree. I could do this work before I was a psychologist. It doesn't matter. It's just who I am. It's like, it's that gift that we have. And when I learned and observed a lot of women I worked with, what I realized that why women are so afraid to put a price tag on it, or even talk about it, or even announce themselves and say, that's the gift I have. I have a gift of compassion, or I have a gift of love, or I have a gift of analysis. I have people with very deep, they are researchers. They are just, that's the gift, because it's like, how else you're gonna do that? Not everybody is born with this ability to really see behind the scenes and make conclusions and all of that very analytical skill. I also have it, but it's a gift. It's not, you don't learn that at school. And what I've realized is that those gifts come with pain, unfortunately. Not every child is sensitive, but which child is sensitive is the one who had a need for that. Why the need was there? Because maybe it was a chaotic childhood, household. Maybe there was maybe the parent, like I'm talking here on public, it's being very vulnerable, but You know, when if one of your parents is maybe experiencing some kind of a trauma or depression or something, and as a child you becoming the healer for them. So when you see, when you are kind of alone, you know, you grow up, every time you think of your gift, you associate it with that pain. And that is why, like, gives me chills. This is why women, not just women, men as well, I guess, but women specifically would not go there, because it's actually, you have to revisit that every time you're triggered with your gift, because you're thinking, oh my gosh, but I only really have it because I lived through my life and it wasn't very easy and it wasn't very blissful. It was this very specific thing in response to what my gift was actually born. And that is one of the keys why women want to hide. And to put a price tag on it is hard. However, what I want to tell you, when you are competing, you are a woman with that gift and you are competing in this man's world. And guess what? Your spiritual gift is your best asset. Of course, you have degrees. Maybe you don't have degrees. Who knows, right? Most of us have kids. And even if we had degrees, we kind of lost the plot somewhere. I know that I was not working as a psychologist most of my life because I didn't like the system and I didn't care about it. And I also wanted to be with my kids. And, you know, having 5 of those, it's kind of like it takes a lot of dedication. Now, using spiritual gift is probably the only thing really I personally have to sell. So if I'm not willing to get over myself and say, okay, I am triggered, I understand, maybe I need a lot of healing around it. You know, therapists, by the way, have therapy because, you know, Freud and Carl Gustav Jung already figured it out that, you know, you have to have your own therapy not to be triggered every time by your patients or clients. So it's the same thing. We all healers, we need healing. But once we had done the healing, we can be in our power and come out and say, you know, I have this interesting gift and this is what I will be working with. And whenever I'm working with this is what I'm charging for. I'm not charging for something else out there. I'm charging for me being incredibly gifted and talented at healing people. So that's kind of my take on how to get over that mindset issue about, like, how can I charge for this?
Yes, absolutely. And also too, I've heard it in your talk a number of times, and just in terms of what you're giving up and what you're sacrificing, because I think that if you work for a hospital, in a hospital setting, you work for an insurance company, you work for somebody else that's giving you a 6-figure income every year, you don't think twice about it, you're living your happy life, but all of a sudden when it's on your own terms, you branch out into a coaching. Women can change like that in terms of now they're having to value their own self-worth. And all of a sudden they went from making a 6-figure income to now charging however much per hour or whatever the case is. They could be, you know, struggling every single day, not even being able to effectively use their gifts anymore because you're so stressed out about your own health, well-being, taking care of your family, your children. So just talk about a little bit about the importance of that in terms of that transition, that if somebody's in that setting and wanting to branch out into coaching or take their coaching to another level, what you need to really think about to overcome that.
Okay, well, that's a very important question. I have those, you know, I actually put it somewhere on my website, like, do you work with, because I work with a lot of experts, women who are already professional, they've done the work. It's not, they're not new to running their own stuff, right, and running their own business. But if somebody just comes in and, you know, question is like, I'm a homestay mom, you know, I've had my degree 100 years ago, maybe I didn't have degree, but I'm very talented, I have this energy thing going, and something I do, like, it's really, yeah, I heal people. That's what I'm getting from others. Like, I've done my miracles, you know. How do I, should I, and they come to me, they say, I want a business. And I always say, well, are you willing to do marketing and sales? Because that is a big question. Because if you're not, I recommend to keep your job. That's all. because marketing and sales, it's like a different animal out there. It's like, it's something you need to learn, and it is something you need to learn to love. And I know it's hard. I started out, I was like I told you, 30 years of doing my work. 25 of those years were free, almost free. I was paid here and there, some kind of barter, some kind of exchange. You can stay here if you. It was completely like, no, I could not make a living with that, right? So what I had to do, I had to learn business. I had to understand, what is this really, to be professional at that, instead of just doing the work. And like I said, I had my big dip in my relationships when my husband said, "You're workaholic, we're not seeing you, and there's nothing really for you to show for it, because it seems like you're working, but working means also income, and there's no income." Well, there was some income, but it wasn't nearly enough to justify the time I was taking from my kids and my family. So that's when I had my, like, okay, I guess I have to get a grip and really invest in it, because like, how else am I going to learn? So I went through a lot of trainings, a lot of coaches, and just really to understand how it actually works. And there's many different ways to make it work. I think there's a men's way, there's a lot of trickery involved. This is why I think women, especially empaths, feel really weird about going into those systems and learning sales from men, because it's like this from 60s or 80s techniques of, scripts. You do this, you manipulate people, and it's just like, oh my gosh, it's just not authentic, and it's just not something we want to do naturally. And so we want to find better ways, of course, to sell your work. And what are those ways? I find, and this is what I teach, that marketing, content marketing, to be like really specific about like, how do you serve people regularly and very organically they come into your container. And this is how I run my business. And it's beautiful. Of course, it's beautiful. It could be later on supplemented with all sorts of other systems. But at the beginning, you want to understand that it is necessary, because you will heal your people around you, and then you will run out of those. And you want to then have clients, and for that you have to start thinking, what do I need to have in place? How do I market myself? Marketing only means that you're telling people who you are and what you do. That's all there is. It's not really that difficult. But of course, women find it difficult. Women who, let's say, are used to either corporate environment or just being at home, there's a sense of entitlement as well. Sometimes we feel, I've suffered so much. I worked so much for this. People just have to hand me money, and it just doesn't happen this way. Right. No, you need to be able to compete in the marketplace. You need to be able to present yourself. You need to understand how you work and be very articulate about what is it that you do, so people will, oh, I get this. It's not just like I'm a woo-woo person with gift, but it's more like, what's in it for you? And once you can talk about that, this is when you start seeing that, oh, interest. People like, okay, how much do you charge? And sales is that conversation, is when you tell them how much you charge. There's no trickery. There's no, in at least this is what I teach. I teach like, I call it sane approach to sales. I haven't come up with a good word for it, but I think practical approach, sane approach, when there's not really, nobody's trying to trick anybody, walk them through some emotions or whatever, but it's just conversation about money, conversation about what is it worth for you. And this is like, I close several 5-figure deals on very short calls, just by being normal, guys. And so, but that's a skill that I had to learn. So, and I recommend learn it, and you will become good at it with practice, of course.
Yes. And I think that's so important, because what you're talking about is basically alignment and intention. And I think that when you have that kind of a business, and especially as a woman, I think most women who are healers, who do this kind of work, are empaths. You feel everything. What you do, no matter how you do it, needs to feel good. Not just sharing your gifts, but you know, what you're putting out to the world, the clients that you attract, the people that you work with, and that intention and everything aligns. You don't work with everyone in the world. You work with the people who align with you. And I think that's one of the most important things that I love, you know, listening to you. You know, you put together a workshop that we offer. You've spoke on our stages, and really looking at that as to, you know, when you have those conversations with people and being really crystal clear about what you do and that it aligns with what they are needing. And if not, you know, having that collaboration like you do with women around the world, that if you're not that fit for that person, that even knowing other healers in the world to be able to refer people, to be able to help people in another way to get the help that they need. Because at the end of the day, you're really helping women to build, you know, highly successful coaching programs. You help women, you know, charge $1,000 an hour for what they do because they are worth that. So let's talk a little bit about that in terms of that alignment and attracting those clients and those things that you really help women do.
Yeah, so it's I think what I'm thinking, what comes into my work is number one is, like I just started talking about this, is understanding what business is. Because once it comes to business, you want to start thinking like entrepreneur more than I'm a healer, I'm an artist, I'm this spiritual teacher, whatever the gift is. And think about, no, okay, if I'm an entrepreneur, then what's important? So then we know marketing and sales are super important. However, all of that is secondary to what is it that you're selling. Because, for example, I started talking about psychic gift. There's a lot of psychics out there who charging $5 per hour for reading. So you want to understand, okay, am I that? Or what am I really doing with my gift? Who am I really helping? And when it comes to understanding how to create an offer, and of course you mentioned that course that it was such a pleasure to make with you. It's all about how to create those 5-figure offers that people would buy. And I always mention that on my sales calls, people do a victory dance. I charge a lot of money for my work. But people do a victory dance because they are celebrating the fact that they made a good deal. That, oh my gosh, I'm only, you know, I'm paying for 10 grand or 20 grand, but I'm getting so much more in return. And my life is transformed and my business is gonna get better. And I'm getting all of those resources and et cetera, and et cetera. So what comes to it is to understand, what do people really need and who needs it, why they need it, and how do you provide that value in the fastest possible way. And you, on another level, being an entrepreneur, you have to think about the market, and you need to be able to beat your competition. It's so funny to talk about that, because I think women often think about, you know, and I understand collaboration and I understand all of that stuff. However, when it comes to you competing in this market, you will see that in your marketing, you need to be standing out. You cannot be talking like another coach next door, because a next door coach is charging next to nothing. And if you're elevating yourself and your work into the at least 1,000 per hour kind of approximately level, that means this needs to be something amazing about you. So what is it? People need to be getting this. And this is how you start thinking, okay, if the market does this, how am I going to be showing up? What's going to be so different or so special about me? And that comes to, you're not going to be looking, you're not going to be borrowing it from anybody, because guess what? That's just what everybody else does. You're going to be looking down there. That's where the originality, this is where the creativity, this is where the that inspiration really comes from. And all of that needs a container. Like, why am I promoting for you to charge triple, quadruple, 10 times as much? Because if you want to be that kind of an amazing, original, creative, outstanding coach or healer, you need to have space for yourself to go deeper and to give something extraordinary to people. I call it phenomenal, be a phenomenal. All my programs called Be Phenomenal, this and that. So if you want to be phenomenal, you need to have a space for this. Anybody would tell you in a men's world, whenever they're talking about geniuses or people who are, and I'm where I live in San Francisco Bay, there's a lot of tech here, you know, Silicon Valley, and people already figured it out in Google, in Apple, they figured it out that how do you nurture the genius in people? You give them a lot of freedom, a lot of time. There's no 9 to 5, nobody's sitting in the office. You go, you walk by the lake or by the ocean and think about those things because this is where you will be, come out with your best work. And if you're working, 100 per hour, I had this one year, I worked with 100 people, 5-6 people per day in my office. There's no space to go deeper. There's no space to think about anything. You just like in a hamster wheel, you just, and I remember talking about it. I said, I lost my sensitivity because when you're working with people in crisis every day, and there's 5 of them every day, you don't have lunch, you just sit there. At some point you go like, well, I don't feel anything anymore. That's not a good place to be a healer, right? So that's why because when you start charging, you can relax. You don't need 100 clients. I always, what I teach is, how do you get those 10 clients per year that pay you 10 grand and you can just attend to yourself, to your kids, think, deepen your work, be extraordinary, because guess what? That's what is at the end of the day is what people want, because you don't want to be a commodity. You want to be, in their eyes, irreplaceable. That's like one of those kind of interesting attitudes you want to develop within yourself, but also show to public.
Right. And also to be effective, I think, at the work that you do, because if you're constantly booking people from morning till night, all hours of the day, all that kind of stuff, you're no longer effective and you're no longer the best that you can be in your healing abilities, right? And that's what I love, is that you work with coaches to be the best healer that they can be. And I think that, they have those gifts naturally, but business isn't always a natural thing, especially for women. And that's why you need to hire the people that can help you with that. You could be the best healer in the world, but if you don't know how to market it, if you don't know how to put your message together, if you don't know how to package things and to put a value and worth on it, and work with somebody like yourself who can help you do that, you'll continue to struggle. And that's the last thing. Like, I know your whole mission is to be able to heal this world and to call women to their best healing abilities. And so that's what I love about what you do, Lira, is you really help women, put that together and figure that part out, because business can be really hard.
Yeah.
So what would you say are some of the biggest mistakes that beginner coaches do that prevent them from having a successful and a profitable business?
And the guys, whatever I'm sharing, this is what I've done as well. So I'm not, there's no, I would say, there's no judgment about it. It's just like, I've been there. I know what I've done. Investing a lot of cash into automation, into funnels, into creating online products, that's like the biggest. When I'm looking at all the beginner coaches, they're looking at all those magic formulas out there, come to three-step, what is it? One funnel to $1 million, your next $1 million, or speak on stages and make $1 million. Like, I mean, there's so many of those $1 million promises. And what I've learned also doing this at the beginning and failing miserably, like when you're creating some kind of course, putting it online, $100 or $45, price goes down and down. It's just sad, right? And then it's crickets. Nobody's buying. And I think we all had been there. And because we have this, we're looking at all of those big 7-figure, 8-figure, 10-figure coaches out there, and we're thinking, wow, they're doing this, must be the good deal. But what you don't know, this is what you need to understand, is that there's always progression within a business. And the best way for you to actually make cash at the very beginning is to start selling high ticket offers, not to start selling low ticket, because low ticket is for people who mastered The offer is already tested with years of them selling it high ticket before that. They mastered the message. They know how to talk about it. They know what people buy. They've done the background work, and it's been years for them, sometimes decades. By the time you actually get to the point where you can now start using Facebook ads or funnels, lower your prices significantly and kind of serve the masses, there you need to also have quite a bit of stash of cash saved. Guess what? Because all of that will take a lot of investments, right? You know, actually competing with the traffic on Facebook or anywhere else. For coaches and consultants, this is the most competitive market out there. So you better create an organic business first. This is what the first mistake is, where coaches go into this. They think about marketing before they mastered the basics. Now, what are the basics? Basics is the offer. What is it that you're selling? Is it tested? Do people want it? Do they pay? Do they pay for it? Once you noticed, oh my gosh, everybody wants my program, I get this. Now I can start doing some kind of automation with that. But before that, you need to be actually putting all of your time into serving people one-on-one, figuring it out, what's working, what's not. Obviously, if you're working with somebody like myself, this is how we create that. You will create a better tools, better processes that would guarantee results. So you will getting those testimonials, and you will have reputation that sells. And that is super, like, that is the number one, I would say, thing that beginner coaches should be doing, instead of trying to go broad and masses and try to become a celebrity before they have something of value or a very, like, let's say, tested product to sell.
Yes. And a lot of that happens so organically in terms of referrals once you have that in place. Because I know even for yourself, you know, I've met so many of the ladies that you've worked with that have come from other women that you've worked with. And when you do that, it's amazing kind of what falls into place. So you put together for us a workshop on how to build your own 5-figure coaching programs. And that's what I've noticed from especially our one-woman events and speaking with, we have so many coaches that attend events, that speak at events. But when I have kind of side conversations, a lot of them do struggle with charging the amounts, how to build and grow that, how to create 5-figure coaching programs, how to do this full time, because a lot of women still have another business on top of it, and to, you know, build and grow things and all that kind of stuff. So I know the course has everything in it, but maybe you can share like a few things that you do to help your average coach go from, you know, maybe they charge $100 an hour to creating that 5-figure coaching program.
Yeah. So we begin with, and it's in the course, I do talk about spiritual gift, and I do talk about that very special, very authentic skill that you can sell, because that is kind of number one. Because if you are, like I said, if you're hiding, I call, guys, I'm gonna just show you because it's right in front of me, this card. It's card called, it is safe for you to be powerful. So this is the first thing I do with my clients, is when I show them that they are powerful and it is okay and it is safe, and you will not be crucified for that. You will not be stoned for being strange or weird, or coming out of your closet and showing how powerful you truly are. So this is number one. And I have so, like, I mean, women cry. This is the like beginning of my work, and there's a lot of tears shed. I've been hiding. I never understood my value. I've tried to be this, I've tried to be that. And what you've given me is that permission to be myself, and just understand that that is what's the most important thing. So I would say that is the most important, is to understand, you know, who are you really? What kind of coach are you? And it's nothing to do with really, in my, at least that's what I think, it's not to do with the, you know, those kind of very strict niches that we have. Is it health, relationships, or business that you're trying to teach? But it's more like, well, I am, for example, I have this very clear mind. I can see things. Like, I think the psychic gift is one of those gifts, is when you have such clarity about what's going on. And People come to you then, and what do they say? Most people who come to me, they say, I need direction. I'm lost. I don't know what that. So if you start noticing those things, this is how you can put yourself, your gift, and those people, your clients together. You start matching them instead of trying to be jack of all trades, instead of trying to sell everything to everybody. Just come to me. I'm a coach. Just let me just sell you something. And I always laugh about this. I say, nobody wakes up in the morning and says, oh, I've got a stash of cash, let me give it. Who is the starving coach out there? That's not how people wake up. People wake up and they have their problems, and something they need to solve, something they want, and they're looking for the right person for that, not just a coach out there. So you want to be able to match that. I call it, this is my part of this work, and it's in a course as well. It's called aligned. It's when you align your gift with the right people. And then, of course, the job is to communicate that. So the next part of the course and everything I teach is marketing. How do you talk about this? How do you talk about seemingly weird things like your spiritual gift? In what context? How do you get people interested in this? How do you educate them? Like what comes into marketing? A lot of coaches out there, that one of the mistakes is that they give away tips, they give away free sessions. They don't, only for a reason, because they don't understand how to talk about it. They think, let me show you what I do. But there's a big problem with that, because if you've tried with all those free sessions, you already know that free session from half an hour can come to 2 hours. And if there was not clarity about sales, which I propose you should be always very clear about your sales call and call them sales calls, or whatever they called, but don't call them free sessions, because if you're trying to use a script and manipulating people and hoping that they're going to sign up, that's not really a free session. But if you're truly doing free sessions, this is what my coaching school encouraged me to do, and I started doing that. And I was like, why people are not paying me cash at the end? Well, because I already done my work with them. Because if you're a healer, you truly, and you have integrity, you're not using the script, you're actually doing the work, then you already showed them what you can do, and they gotten that fix. And then they leave, and you did not do them service, because it's not a one-off thing. Coaching or healing program, that's why it's a program. Because if you want to transform somebody's lives, it's not going to happen in half an hour free session. You just giving them a quick fix and they leave, they don't understand what to pay for. They feel better and there they go. And you sit there like, oh my gosh. So your job is to actually learn to become a good marketer and understand how do you invite people without being this free tip giver, some kind of like a commodity. Because, of course, online there's a lot of people who give away free stuff. And then people, have tendencies who don't want to pay, who are not really coaching client potential. They would be clicking through those people who give tips. And you don't want to be one of those. You have to have your boundaries. And then, of course, I teach sales, sales. And I have my take on it. A lot of my clients who tell me, listen, Lira, I had 5 sales coaches and I'm shocked that nobody told me this stuff. So what I teach is actually incredibly practical, very sane. What I teach is like, don't manipulate, just be able to have conversations about money and not to be yourself triggered, and know where you stand, know your boundaries, know what you do, value yourself. And I'm not just saying it in the system. In that course, I actually walk you through how it's done, and there's science to it. At least I figured it out. So that is kind of content of what I teach, and of course it's definitely in that course.
Yes. So I'm sure there's hundreds or thousands of women who will have watched this video, many of which who are coaches or professionals who want to take that leap into coaching. They know they're healers. They know they've been gifted with something, but probably we've hit a few triggers where women say, I don't value myself enough. I don't charge enough. I'm struggling. I've been thinking about even throwing in the towel, even though these are the gifts I've been given to heal this world. And, you know, I know that can be so hard for women. And I've had conversations, and I know you have too, which, you know, really bring women to tears in terms of, I don't know how to do this or how to even start. Or if they've been not charging enough and know that they need to charge more to even be able to continue the work that they do. So, what would be one tip that you would give women as to even how to start to raise your fees or to create something where you can truly serve in this world?
Yeah. So there's many different coaches teach different things. We know about, for example, there's a lot of coaches who tell you you have a money mindset problem. You should get rid of limiting beliefs or stuff like that. There will be some who talk about, you know, you need therapy. You need to go into your childhood and figure out what happened, and then you're gonna, you know, find that peace with your value. Now, I figured out another different method. Why? Because I work with coaches who had done all of this. They've done therapy or whatever, healing, they had done tapping, they've tried to do the mindset, money mindset stuff, and they still can't charge. So, like, in my books, that was not very effective. It's just another thing, you know, we can be all this personal development programs junkies, and I get this. We love this, we love investing, we love kind of looking inside and healing. However, when it comes to charging, my invitation is to look at what is it that you are selling. Because at the end of the day, if you are thinking like an entrepreneur, which is one very easy principle, am I profitable with this? That's all. Am I just working for likes, or am I actually making cash? Okay, so if I'm not making cash, I have to rethink my strategies, because that means whatever I'm doing is not really bringing me to be an entrepreneur. I'm just playing business. No, I want to be actually in business. So once it comes to cash, you want to think about people who are buying from you. So people who are buying from you, may I say, they might feel something for you, but most of all, they are not interested in how much therapy you have done. They are not. When it comes for somebody to pay you $1,000, $10,000, whatever, they're thinking, what's in it for me? Mm-hmm. They are not looking at you and thinking, oh, she's done a lot of money mindset work, let me go pay her. No, they're looking at your program. They're looking at what is it that you're giving to them, and is it worth it? So one of the things that I teach, become very confident at offering your program. And you will become very confident at offering a program when you know that it works. Like partially, like huge part of my work is about developing your skill. Being incredibly like sure that the tools that you're using, that the methods that you created are actually guaranteeing results. So whenever that is in place, you will have testimonials, you will have all of this thing that actually sells for you. You don't have to be this hardcore salesperson, because your work will sell for you. Like just today I'm having emails, Lira, you know, people are asking me about your work, my clients, they're recommending me. That's a good business to have, because yes, if you're creating results for people, that's how you become confident. Then you don't have to start healing. I mean, you can be healing yourself just for the sake of it, because actually healing yourself is important, because you will feel better within it. You will have joy in your life altogether, not just in your business. But when it comes to sales and charging triple, quadruple, 10 times as much, it's really all about really looking at your program and your offer and really perfecting it to the point where you know, I mean, you will know that it sells because people will buy it. That's all. That's your criteria.
Yes, well, and I have to say you're amazing at it, Lira. And just what I love is that you're very candid, that you say you were that coach at one point, and that you've learned that. And I love that you are sharing that with other coaches, so that they can not only use the gifts that they've been given in this world, but to be successful at it. And that's what I love what you do. So you created for us how to create your own 5-figure coaching programs, which talks about all this, goes into detail, really goes into depth to help women get successful with that, which we have that available on our website. We're going to post the link and everything in here. But let's talk about some of the other things that you do, because you do if women are looking for really needing that one-on-one help, or also just your social media channels that really help women, as well as your School of Inspired Life. So let's talk about those.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm thinking the best way to get introduced to a lot of trainings that I do on coaching, marketing, and sales, but specifically in the context of raising your prices. This is really what I want for women, because I'm just tired of seeing women undervalue themselves. It's not fair, and it's not healthy for you. And like I told you already, I've been there. My whole life was all about being this martyr and not charging, and then charging but very little, because I just didn't know how, honestly. As soon as I learned how, I immediately gotten out of that business model, working for, like in a rat race. And I was like, no, I'm being a different, I want a different life. That's all. I want to be with my kids. I want to enjoy this business. And all of that is in my Facebook group. You can go and join. It's called Wednesday Workshops for High-End Coaches International. So I work with people around the world. So there's a lot of international crowd in that group. And lately I've been doing actually even 3 times a week. I did sales therapy, I did marketing trainings, I do a lot of healing trainings, because I'm a healer. Really, that's really what I'm here in the world to do. And I'm teaching business because I just feel for healers, because I don't want you to be some kind of a martyr. That's all. It's like I believe that you're a woman and you deserve a good life as you're doing your work. And the better your life is, the better your work is. Like, and that's for sure. I can tell you that. You will have time, as we know, to develop all of that. So that's Facebook group. And other than that, you can go to schoolofinspiredlife.com and see all the programs I have. I run Advanced Coaches and Healers Certification. That's the best, most popular program right now, where we go deep. We create those 5-figure offers together. And now I extended it for the whole year. So you have the whole year to create marketing that actually sells, but you don't have to sit there constantly posting. I just created that system. It's actually in the course as well, where I talk about, automation, whatever, very simple stuff that makes your life so much easier, because you're not constantly on social media, nothing like that. And of course, sales. There's a brilliant sales training for you to understand how people buy, instead of thinking that, oh, I just need to learn this magic formula for sales, because that's not how sales happen. You need to understand altogether how people buy, the principles, what's important for people, and then you're gonna feel very confident at just being yourself on those sales calls. And I think a lot of my clients say, Lira, thank you. Not only I have 15-minute sales calls now, but people actually buy, and I feel good within the process. I said, well, that's what I want you to feel. Yes. So that's all there.
Awesome. So what we'll do is we'll put up your website, schoolofinspiredlife.com. That's the best way to get a hold of Lira, through there and through her Facebook. We'll make sure all that information is there. And Lira, was there anything we didn't cover today that you wanted to cover, or a final thought that you want to leave for every woman who's watching today?
Well, my final thought would be, I want to come back to that 111 Healers Project, because it is actually on my website as well, and you can join. Because what I want to do, and that's what I do anyway throughout my work and working with my clients, always promoting my clients as well, is that I want to promote the healing modalities and methods that you have, the spiritual gifts. I want people to know. So one of the ways to do it, I'm only accepting 100 people, I have to say, and a lot of them will be my clients. But there will be some spots left. But if you feel like you are a healer and your work is important, I think it's important. I'm just going to go and tell you that. But if you already know in your heart that you are at this place where you want to spread the good word, let's do it together. Join that project. And actually in May, I'm going to be showcasing 100 healers out there. I will be teaching you some interesting marketing techniques and ways for you to have those big audiences. And once you do that, of course, it's good for business, but in my case, I just want you to be educating people who need your help, and they just don't know how to find you. So that is one of the things I wanted to say, 111 Healers Project. So find it and join.
Awesome. I love it. And if you are a healer that's out there that you've been watching today, you know you might need some help with the business side of things, or just collaborating with other healers through the project that Lira has, make sure you reach out and connect with Lira. That's what I'm so thankful for with One Woman, is I get to meet the best women in the world. And I'm so glad, Lira, that One Woman is what made our paths cross, and that we can share your beautiful and amazing gifts to help and heal this world with others. So thanks so much for sharing with us today.
Thank you.
Yes, my pleasure. And I want to thank everybody for watching today. And be sure to watch next time. We'll be bringing more to you with the great women that we get to meet and work with around the world. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.